Hey, everybody, I'm sorry for the delay. That's when they let the guy with the least amount of technical skills do things, they get messed up sometimes. So my apologies for the wait. So as we say hello to my friends in Pega Partners from all over the world, welcome to the Lotus Notes edition, the Notes to Blueprint edition of the Pega Partner Hour, a monthly webinar that provides Pega Partners with support in sales, technical, and the industry domains. As a reminder, we record this session. If you prefer not to be recorded, please feel free to drop from the call, and you're welcome to watch the recording at a later time. You can find them all on the Pega Partner portal, and you can also find them on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't heard, Pega World registration is open, and per usual, it will be held in Las Vegas from June 7th to June 9th. And as a special for logging into this show today, and everybody else who didn't, I'm going to tell you how to get $200 off an individual pass. If you go to pegaworld.com, you're going to see this window pop up. And if you register before May 1st, individual passes are $200 on discount. But please do that before May 1st, because when that special is gone, they're not going to bring it back. All right, so there's a reason you're hearing so much about Lotus Notes right now. Thousands of large enterprises, including the government agencies, are still running business critical workflows on Notes. They know it's legacy, they know it's risky, but they've been stuck because it's deeply embedded and poorly documented. What's changed is that organizations can now use Pega to finally crack that open. With Pega's blueprint, we can quickly understand what those applications actually do. We can extract the processes and data, and we can reimagine them as modern cloud native workflows, fast, collaborative, and with far less risk to traditional rewrites. That turns a very painful modernization product into a real, actionable transformation opportunity. So with that, joining us today from the Notes to Blueprint Transformation team, I have Natascha Thornton, Alex Exum, Jansson, and Louise Rafferty. I want to say hello to you all. There's everybody. All right, so listen, everybody, this is an all-star team, right? And the reason I love this team and I love what they're doing and I love what they're talking about today is if you are out there and you're trying to crack your way into an organization, sometimes you need that little thing. You need that niche play. You need something you can go in and say, hey, I can fix a problem you have and I can fix it fast. And this is the team that's going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let these folks talk, and I'm going to start sharing a presentation. And I'm going to pass that over to, I think, Mats. Are you starting with us, Mats?
I think it'll be me, actually. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. There we go. All right, we can jump to the next slide. But yeah, thank you, Randy. I am Alex Exum. I'm on the platform product marketing team here at Pega. And like we just heard, I'm joined with a ton of fantastic folks, formerly of the Adoptic team, my new colleagues at the beginning of this year. If we want to jump to the next slide. We've got Natascha Thornton on, who has been heading up a lot of the partner strategy. We'll hear from Matt Jansson, who will walk you through a bit of a demo of some of these capabilities, and Louise Rafferty, who has been working feverishly on the delivery strategy. So all of us kind of working together behind the scenes to make this offering make sense to you all. So if we want to jump to the next slide, just want to hit a little bit. The reason we're all here, I'm sure heard, the Adoptic acquisition at the beginning of the year took place in order for us to build out our legacy transformation offering around Notes capabilities and to be able to more rapidly accelerate the discovery and requirements gathering end of those modernization projects. So this fits, if we want to jump to the next slide, it fits directly within our overarching transformation story. So nothing there has changed. It's just how do we get really good at these specific types of projects And also, how does this maybe, like Randy said, serve as a door opener to some of those larger modernization and transformation projects? So on the left side, we're using some of these tools to rapidly accelerate the discovery and requirements gathering of our clients' Notes portfolio and their applications. We've integrated it directly into Blueprint, where we're able to reimagine those workflows, integrate best practices, bring IT and business leaders together to collaborate on that. And then ultimately, the overarching goal, as we all know, is to automate agentic future-proof workflows in Pega Infinity on a scalable cloud platform. So all of that still the same, but we're going to dig into some of the details around how this applies to Notes. So if we want to jump to the next slide. Why are we still talking about Notes transformation? The reason for that is this was sort of the great migration that didn't happen. I think upwards of 34,000 enterprises still have Notes, and it's really not a great experience. Some of these companies are still running business critical workflows on outdated technology. Their processes are broken. Their data is trapped within proprietary databases, and the risk is ever increasing as we move forward. So I'm gonna tag in Lou here to discuss some of the things that she's seen on the client side, why these companies are still using Notes, why some of these migrations didn't happen, or maybe they only happen for certain applications. So yeah, I'll pass it over.
Louise, we have you on mute.
Yep, I think we can't hear you yet.
Apologies for that.
No worries.
The mute. So if we think about when there was a big push for people to get off of Lotus Notes mail, that was, I think Microsoft started their big marketing campaign in about 2012, 2013, and they were super successful, right? And I personally worked for a company who industrialized the migration of Lotus Notes mail, and we created the fast track with Microsoft. It was a repeatable process. There was a centralized owner, and the infrastructure was the same, and it was like same target, same principle, repeatable at scale. And everyone was like, yay, we can get off of Notes. And then we started looking, people started lifting the hood and looking at the application landscape. And it wasn't centralized. It was often owned by individual business owners or departments. And one of the main, I would say the main drivers at the beginning was that the target platforms that people thought they could go to, they just weren't mature enough to be able to do what Notes could do for them at that time. And so people continued to use Notes applications, and they were in, the M365 platform. And, it was all about companies lifting the hood, really. The scope, the clarity, and the cost to replace Notes was not just going to take a few people in IT, but it was going to take a village. And that really became the catalyst of, this is horrible, it's scary, it's too big, so you end up with inertia. And then you also get the budgetary constraints. We all see it within IT, is that, we can have budget with one CIO, that CIO then leaves, then Notes is not a focus. So there was a lot of different factors. And I think one of the main factors as well is that it's very hard for people to go somewhere if they have no vision about where they're going. And for a lot of us, that's really, really difficult to try and explain to the business. Well, trust us because we're going to make your application better, right? Or worse still, we're going to give you an application, but it's going to actually be worse because the target isn't really suitable yet. And even though Notes doesn't look great, we're going to stay there, Yeah, so lots of different reasons. Hopefully that was okay.
Yeah, no, that's
Sounds
great.
great.
If we want to jump to the next slide, Lou, I think you touched on this already, but a lot of these modernization projects were failing. There was a lot of inertia. It sounds like they weren't sure where these applications would go. The target applications weren't mature enough to support that. What are you finding that's different today, different about Pega, or has Blueprint been able to solve some of those? Like, we can't imagine where this might go. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would say the combination of our intelligence, shall we say, with the AdopTech products and the experience, and the combination of Pega Blueprint has really, it's a game changer, because all of a sudden, so you've got analysis, and the analysis was always built in mind with migration and transformation. So we have a product that will do analysis. That product also will integrate into Blueprint. And then you can actually sit there with your business without having to go through like all these lengthy traditional approaches to, you know, having a business analyst sit down with the business, create some technical requirements, and then someone trying to define those technical, and then coming back and saying like, is this what you were looking for, and so on. So I think like those two combined, and then with the power of what the Pega platform offers, really blows what Notes currently does out of the window. And it's a far more accelerated place to get them onto Pega.
Great, that's great to hear. If we want to jump to the next slide, Randy, I think we were getting ahead, but that's fine. But yeah, I just want to call out too that within the umbrella of Notes to Blueprint, there's the Notes to Blueprint Analyze tool and the Notes to Blueprint Migrate tool. So we'll be getting into a demo of the Notes to Blueprint Analyze tool, and there will be more to come around the Migrate tool as well. But yeah, just kind of reiterating what Lou said here in terms of these toolings kind of make that migration able to happen, but more in a transformative way because of Blueprint. So that sounds great. I think we can jump into the next slide where we are going to kind of walk through what a bit of a architectural diagram here of what the applications are, or what the Notes to Blueprint tool is doing, and how it connects up to Blueprint and the Pega platform before we jump into an actual demo. So Lou, do you want to kind of illustrate what our diagram is here?
Sure. So we have the domino estate on the left-hand side, and we have databases of many is generally what we find. And what the Notes to Blueprint Analyze product does is it will allow you to run a discovery. We're not putting anything on these domino servers. We gather data points, and we gather them at like two levels. We have a discovery level, and then we have a details level. And in the discovery, we are collecting really important information that will allow us to create a blueprint. And what the Notes to Blueprint Analyze product will do is it will take this information and it will create a blueprint for us in Pega Blueprint. And that then allows us to go and review and go, okay, we can go and we can work on case types. We can go then modify the data model, because we're taking all the forms that were in Notes and all the fields and already being able to build the data model. Once we have made our high fidelity blueprint and we are ready to go, then we have that basis to then have a data mapping, which can then go into the migration product, Notes to Blueprint Migrate, which will allow us to then map, collect, migrate, and push to Pega. So everything is integrated, and I'm super excited about it.
Awesome. Randy, if you want to skip through the next couple slides, just kind of slowly, but we can probably move through them. It just sort of illustrates everything that Lou just talked through.
Yeah.
Just sort of in a step-by-step process, I think. But while we take a look at that, I think up next too, we wanted to talk about a little bit about some of the benefits of Notes to Blueprint Analyze and what sort of things that clients were seeing the kind of the outcome of Notes to Blueprint Analyze, or formerly of Doptic, and like what that analysis. You talked through it a little bit, but wanted to spend a little bit more time talking through some of the challenges that it solved for on the kind of analysis front end of things.
Sure. So I mean, I already kind of let the cat out the bag with the fact that we have like a way for accelerated transformation. Yeah. We are taking specific information from the design of the Notes database and key data metrics, which will help us build a blueprint. And the more that we gather and the more that we use within the analyzed product, we can then add to that blueprint. So we get more clarity as we go. It allows us to really quickly, after the discovery scan, to know what needs to happen, what applications or what databases do we really need to care about, which ones can be removed, which ones can be archived, which ones are simple records management, and which ones are really good Pega fits as far as workflow applications. It also, I think one of the reasons we had a lot of failures before was change, and some organizations did not realize the volume of change that this was going to have on their business. Just even, getting business people to have a conversation with them. Ownership. Sometimes we look at environments in Notes that the IT department don't actually know who owns these applications that we've now got to do something with. So this helps us with our gathering of user usage. We can actually see which users are the most heavily using the application. And it also helps us get budget clarity. So we can immediately see when we do the disposition, okay, what ones do we have to care about? And the beauty of Blueprint as a partner is there is an estimator tool that you can then have a real good idea of how much is this actually going to cost. Yeah. And then consolidation, we see this a lot. There's many of the same type of application across an organization, so build once, rather than trying to take copies, which was really common in Notes. You would take a copy of a database because somebody else had it, and then you would modify it.
Lou, let me ask you a question. It was one I was thinking of, and we have a question that came in that is very, very similar. So for partners that are hearing about this maybe for the first time, can you tell us what actually happens when an organization runs Notes to Blueprint? What does Pega analyze, and what does the customer get as output? And the question that was kind of right on that is, what's the output you get? Is it read documents? Is it readable data format like JSON, XML, or CSV/XLs?
So so many actually. So the overall view of what we have analyzed is visually represented in Power BI, but the export that we are doing to create the blueprint is actually an XML, which goes straight into Blueprint, and so those two together are, and then we can also see information in the application itself. But there is a whole reporting, separate reporting aspect to this, and we also have the documentation that Blueprint itself actually generates about the blueprint that is created. So there's not just one output. There is Notes to Blueprint. there's an XML file, which allows us to create the blueprint, and there's a Power BI report, which allows us to see the output of what we have analysed.
Thank
I
you.
think I think that's a great bridge into the next couple of slides that walk through a little bit of the process of what we go through in terms of taking that initial inventory, and what points along the way are you able to blueprint? At what point does the blueprint become higher fidelity? So if we jump into the next couple slides, we can chat through that, and then.
Yeah. So I think one of the main things here is the last thing anyone wants to do is run scripts and get XML files or CSV files out and have to write Lotus script to get information out of notes. So what the Notes to Blueprint tool does is we have, when we are doing a delivery using Notes to Blueprint, so the first thing we do, we obviously install a product, but then we do an inventory, which is the discovery collection. So in the discovery collection, we are reading database information from the database itself and the names.nsf and the config and the what's the database catalog. We're also looking at what content has actually been used, so that immediately we can actually go, okay, well, we could put this through a blueprint and it will give us some information. Yeah, it will build a blueprint for us. But if we want to go deeper, and we usually don't want to go deep on every single database that we run, because a customer might have thousands of databases, but they have a home for already thousands of databases. And we want to focus on the ones that are good fits for Pega. So we would run a details collection, and that's way deeper, and it looks at more user usage, what the user's looking at. It looks for encryption. It looks for a lot of key data points when it comes to data migration, which need to be figured out. You can have things in Notes which are stored forms and embedded views, and what you see on the screen is not necessarily what is stored in that database. So if you've got to migrate something, so there's all these things that you need to look for, and that's what the details collection helps us. Then we have what we call the Hawkeye, and that's where a team of experienced people who know Notes and also know the Pega platform, they work together to look at, is this really right, what I'm getting out of the technical data points? Because we all know that if you just look at technical stuff, it can give you a very false information about the reality of what that app is really being used for today. A good example is a business application which came up as being incredibly complicated, and I had a customer tell me that, like, you know, we can't migrate this is a nightmare, blah, blah, blah. And it turned out that there was one part of the database which was used by the organization, and it was really straightforward. The rest of it could just be archived as data. So Hawkeye is important. And then we report into Power BI, and we have like the XML that we can generate through Notes to Blueprint at any point. And then we've got the blueprinting. But I mean, blueprinting is not the end result. Blueprinting can be done right after discovery. It just gets better and better the more you put into it.
Lou, what's the time frame on that look like from when someone starts to you get that information and you're ready to action on it?
So it depends, Randy, because it depends on how many databases you want to look at, right?
Point.
So yeah, so some of our customers, and you'll see this in a later slide, had like 40 odd servers, 20,000+ databases, but the discovery collection is fairly quick. It's when you start going into the human analysis, because you really do need people that understand Notes to be able to do this. Yeah, there's no easy way. If it could be done in Notes, it was, and there is rarely one database the same. We still today, with I don't know, I've got some people in my team that have been doing this for over 30 years. They're still finding stuff that developers have done in Notes that they're like, I've never come across this before. So yeah. But I mean, ideally, if we think about doing something like doing one inventory, one details, one Hawkeye, forget the report because it's one, yeah, and going to a blueprint. This could be done in a matter of minutes. Yeah.
That's great to hear. There's a couple questions coming up around data migration, and so I just want to note that we're seeing those, but I don't know if it makes sense to hold off a little bit. We were going to get into a demo of the Notes to Blueprint analyzed to Blueprint, and then we were going to talk through some of the migration topics. So does it make sense to answer those then?
Yeah, but I want to answer. So we had a question: is it how close in percentage in terms to the final Pega Foundation application compared to the original Note application? So, if it's in, and you can also chime in here, Matt. But if it's in the design of the Notes database and based upon us determining the forms and the fields that we want to create case types with, I think you're getting like what, 40% there with a blueprint?
Hi, Mats here. In some parts you can say 40%. In some parts you can say 150%. Because Blueprint AI is marvelous in a matter of analyzing, make conclusions, innovate. So even if there wasn't a workflow in Lotus Notes or a proper workflow, or that workflow was kind of stuck in some way, not really current, the Blueprint AI will find where it should be a workflow and innovate around that. So you get more than you got in Lotus Notes.
Yeah. So that's why I think, yeah, I think that's why it's important that when we're doing blueprints, we have that referral, and we can go and we can go review it and we can check it. Yeah. Because as I say, Notes could be anything someone wanted it to be. It was the original citizen development platform, and how it's expressed in the future. As Matt said, it could be 150%, it could be 40%. Yeah.
Makes sense. On that note, Matt, do we want to jump into the demo and take a look at how it works?
Sure. Why not? Is it okay with you, Louise?
Go for it, Matt.
Good.
I can get some water and stop talking.
Yeah, please do. I just had. So I'm sharing my screen.
Louise, that's
Hopefully,
great information. Thank you very much.
So yeah, let's share my screen. Share Notes to Blueprint. Here we go. The tool itself is installed on client machines. Nothing have to be installed on or should be installed on the Domino servers. So Lotus Notes, if you are pretty familiar with Lotus Notes, we have clients, Notes clients, and we have Domino server. Nothing is going to be touched on the Domino server. That's very crucial when you work with enterprise customers. Everything runs in clients. These clients can communicate with each other through a SQL server that runs in the background. You can run it on a single island with one client, or you can run it in a whole kind of infrastructure with 10, 20 analyze clients. So that's the way it goes. We scan the servers all over, build out a list of all these applications that is available. One of the most crucial things that we are looking into is when it was touched the last time. So for example, we have a couple of very old databases here, not touched for 5 years, almost. So then the tool suggests remove these. No one is going to care about them. There could be databases with valuable information, which actually does have some size, that it suggests archive, and it will be archived to Pega. And we could have stuff that it actually says exclude. Yeah, because there is no content in there. That have to be double checked, of course. It could be that we didn't have any access like we have on these three. And we got a question before about details. What do we see? So let's look into one of these applications. We're going to open the details here. And we can see how many documents and how many fields we have on each form. So we have forms, we have views and stuff in Lotus Notes. We do care most about the forms because that's pretty much the equals to case types. And if I look at one of these forms, I can see the fields on the forms. We know what kind of fields and what kind of content we can imagine. If we decide that some forms shouldn't migrate, we don't care about it. If we want to be more precise, we can just say that these two forms should be migrated to case types. And we also have a main topic here that goes into data objects. So you can steer up what you want to migrate, what you doesn't want to migrate, and so on. Okay, I'm going to close this one, and I promise to keep my demo quite short and kind of moving all the time. So let me blueprint a database. So when you blueprint a database, that database may be an application. Sometimes multiple databases makes up an application, and you can blueprint all of them at the same time to one application. That's not what we are going to do right now. We are going to take the personal handbook. It's an HR handbook, kind of normal thing. Do we have some workflows? Of course, we have workflows in a document handbook because someone have to write the document, someone have to look at them, review them, and someone may have to approve, and then it goes to publish. So of course there is a workflow. So let's blueprint this one. And now what happens behind the scene, we are gathering the information from the design. We are collecting it, we are transforming it, and we are uploading it to Blueprint. And let's see now. Hopefully I have something to show you. Come on. Yeah, personal handbook, cross industry. And we have uploaded one supporting asset. That goes to the next one. We are in human resources. Nothing of this comes from, yeah. So we are uploading some artifacts, but then we give Pega Blueprint kind of free hands to innovate around this. So let's go to the next one. This application is designed to manage and publish internal personal handbook, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got another screen. Okay, so let's go further on, go to the next one. We have some cases created, case types created, document in Swedish, nytt kapitel in Swedish, new chapter, new chapters. We have some workflows created, content search, looks good. Go to the next one. And we can see how this looks. We can look into the data model of the documents. And what you see now is pretty important because we have taken the fields and the field names and the field types from Lotus Notes, push them right into Blueprint. So you don't have to create all of this all together by yourself. Because sometimes you have 200 fields. Sometimes you have. I had an example database I got from the customer the other day, over 800 fields. Not on one form, not on one case, but on, I think it was 5 different cases. Imagine it's 4,000 fields to create manually. to be able to
You
migrate
forgot
all the
about
content.
1900 fields that we saw with another customer
Yeah,
maps in one
yeah.
form. Yeah.
So this is where the real value lies in the blueprint creation. Next real value, and I'm super happy and super excited about this, is the AI assistant, because I get a lot of stuff in here, but the AI assistant can help me make sense of this. So, for example, I have some dollar font here. I have been working with Lotus Notes for over 30 years. I know that dollar fonts and dollar links isn't really what I'm going to keep. So I can write a message here. Can you please rename this or remove them? And I go over to preview my app. And you probably know that I can mark fields here, say make these fields mandatory, and reorganize, and so on and so on. So it's really amazing combination with Notes to Blueprint and the Blueprint AI. Back to you, Alex or Louise.
Yeah, I think that is great to see, because one of the questions too in the chat is they were wondering about whether or not Blueprint helped in the Lotus Notes data migration. So showcasing some of these data tools is definitely important. Anything else to share there in regards to that question? If not, we can kind of move on to, I know there was some additional questions around
I think we can move on because I think Louise is going to touch on the data migration later on.
Great, let's do it. If we want to pull up those slides again, Randy, we have a couple more slides, and then I promise we're done boring you with slides. But
Yep. So can we move to the next? That's the one. Yeah, migrate. Sorry, wait, it was on delay. Yeah, can we go back one? Thanks, Randy. So the Notes to Blueprint migrate is it makes sense because you configure the source. So you're going to connect to the Notes database that you want to migrate, and then you are connecting to the Pega target application. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to configure your data mapping. So everything that you have tested and tried in Pega Blueprint is where the real time saving comes from, because you've mapped these forms and these fields to the case data objects, and you've defined the whole transformation before you even get to a migrate. Yeah, you've done all the authoring, you've gone through Blueprint, and then when we get to the value add phase, when we're looking at a Blueprint delivered migration methodology, we get to the actual data migration where we push information, the data from Notes into Pega Blueprint. Sorry, into Infinity. I'm looking at something saying the same thing. Then what we do is we go and we collect the information. So we go and collect the data points that we have set up in our mapping, and then we migrate. And one key aspect here is that we have the ability, once the UAT has been done for both the application and also the data, we have the ability to also do a delta migration and then go into your standard hypercare with the customer. But we're basically saying, like, we'll take this, we'll check everything, everybody gets a chance to check out the UAT, and then we'll do a final migration, because we are keeping track in a SQL database of everything that we are doing through this journey of migration. So we log information and we keep a track of what has been done when it has been done. So it's got high fidelity and it's got traceability, and you don't get that by scripts. Yeah. Nor do you get delta migrations. Yeah. So this is the blueprint to migrate. We had a few questions actually
Yeah.
about all of this.
I was just going to
So-
jump in with a couple of questions.
Yeah.
First, I think to the first one, kind of just a logistical question. Is this a separate installable package distinct from the Notes to Blueprint Analyze tool?
Yep, they're two separate products under the banner of Notes to Blueprint.
Okay, I think that was just the first cue there. And then one other question they had saw pop up in the chat. It was so typically a Lotus Notes or Domino application consists of a suite of databases, .nsf files, relies heavily on names.nsf for access control lists and other functions. In our discovery process, can it scan through all of these databases to identify and define cases, subcases, data models, personas, and so forth? So more of a analyze question on that.
Yeah. And the answer is yes. So the discovery scan and then the detail scan, and then using the Hawkeye, you define based upon the information and what you see in notes about used forms and when the data was last stored in the forms. All of that information helps you create your cases, your subcases, the data models, etc.
Okay.
So, and as Matt's showed, you can take multiple databases and create one blueprint from them. So yeah, you would have all those data models. And templates. Templates are part of the design. We create an XML of the design, and that's part of what Blueprint reads to create the blueprint. So we absolutely understand templates. Yeah.
And then one question that just popped up in the chat around Lotus Notes email solution. I think we're Pega would not be the target application for email applications.
Correct. Your email applications.
Can I chime in a little bit here?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just about to steal my thunder, Matt. Sure.
In some cases, a mailing database may start a workflow, and it's the actual workflow that we kind of are getting after here. And the mailing databases may, in a lot of cases, contain workflows, heavy workflows, or is the starter of them. So look out for mailing databases, because they can be a good source of revenue.
Yeah. And I think what you'll find is there's a lot of mailing databases still running Notes, because people really are like, they are petrified to migrate mailing databases, because mailing databases are generally connected to applications and could have been heavily customized, as you say, Matt. It's like a web sometimes, and you've got to figure out, okay, where did I start? Okay, well, that's connected to that, and that can be connected to this, and then you're going to build your workflow from it. That's why it's important to understand and select the multiple databases you think make up an application. Yeah. And you answered, Natascha, are all notes document types and content formats supported? Yes, they are, which I think is a great segue into the next slide. So some of the benefits, and Matt's already highlighted, is that it has the integration to Blueprint, right? You map your data model, you've got GenAI in there, you can really quickly say, like, this is of no interest to me, I'm not going to do this, but I do want to do that. This is going to map to this in Pega, and so on. So it makes everything much faster. So you're going to be faster with the reimagination of your application, and you're also going to be faster in your migration to Pega with the data. Yeah. It's one product, but it has multiple options. Yeah. So, we can migrate different sorts of content to Pega and to where in Pega. Yeah. We have been doing this for a very long time, Matt. I know that we only look like 25, but this product was called Migrator Plus, and we have migrated hundreds of thousands of application databases in our young years. Yeah. I already touched on the Delta migration to Pega, which is really important, especially when you have applications that have got workflow. right? And things are changing rapidly. You need to have like that ability to catch up before you cut people over to like using the new production one. And this can be done at scale, right? It's maybe less scale when we're looking at Pega as a platform, because we are looking at, you know, business process reimagination, and we're working a lot with the customer. But as far as the migration is concerned, that can be configured to migrate a lot of content really quickly. Yeah. And we migrate not just what you see, but we also migrate metadata. And that includes rich text, which is a huge thing when we're scripting, tables, yeah. And
then
we've done a lot with the product to try and accommodate all the many things that you can find in notes content.
all right, yeah, seeing a lot more questions come through, but also one around success stories. So maybe we try to handle some more of the technical questions in the chat, and then if any are still outstanding, and I was going to call up Natascha to talk through some early success stories, what y'all have seen in the past with the analyze and migrate, and also what we're seeing now on some of the opportunities that are currently in the works.
Alex, I'm glad that question came up, because I sometimes get them in my text messages, and that came to me directly too. Like, hey, can we have some success stories? So,
Absolutely.
Natascha, let's see what you got. Natascha, we have you on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. It helps if I unmute myself. No, but good. I also just want to say this is really a tool for you to use. You guys are in the spotlight, your clients' trusted advisors when it comes to legacy transformation. So our goal is, by providing you with these tools, we're making your life easier and your projects even more successful. We had our first big win in Q1 with a major financial services client together with one of our partners as well. And we're very proud of that win. So a big shout out to PwC. You did a great job. What we're doing there is the conversation started off with a notes application, and now we're redoing their whole loans operations business. So it's turned into a massive opportunity for us. Can we go to the next slide? And Louise, can you chime in as well?
Look at that. You guys had that teed up.
So, I mean, these are just some of the projects that we have successfully done in the past, right? So these customers were large, and they had their own unique challenges. So the automotive parts supplier, I mean, I think it was like 43 servers where they stored notes information, and they had done their own analysis, and they came to us and they said, you know, we want to move everything, and we think we've got 2,500 applications, and we want to move it all to SharePoint, right? And we want to use Power Apps. And so we did the analysis in 16 weeks. It was a very involved analysis. We built a reporting tool for them to actually track the application lifecycle. So it was more than just analysis. But what we found out was, and this is one of the things of, we were successful, but the customer took way longer than they ever understood to do any sort of migration to the new platform, because they hadn't really thought through governance, and they didn't really have a mature platform. So we had a great success with analysis. The customer themselves had to kind of put the brakes on and go back and figure out, wow, we need to go and figure out what our governance is for our platform. Yeah. We have migrated and done analysis for a very big manufacturing company in the States. We have I'm trying to think what the multinational financial services was. I think I know what that one is, but I mean, you can see that we have a lot of experience. One of our most recent experiences is with a casualty insurance provider in North America, and these people were these are like the poster child of how to do everything right. They had a COV set up, they had governance, and they wanted to find someone that would be a trusted advisor with them already from the pre-sales. And we have helped them with migrate with the analysis of 1,100 databases. And we have also worked with their partner to enable their partner to continue to do analysis. And also we've worked with a partner in the pilot, and this team that the customer has is now fully sufficient, and they will go ahead and do this at velocity in production. But we were there really setting the whole thing up for them, from analysis all the way through to migration. And we have also been working with a global elevator company that was very specific. They already had a lot of their notes databases ready for decommission. And it was about 3,200 databases in their environment, and there was 150 key applications that they said they needed. When we did the analysis, here's the interesting thing, and here's something to watch for with notes, is that they said they had 150 applications. And when I actually did the analysis for this customer, I looked and I went, application or database? Because some of these applications, there was one application that the business were like, well, it's just one application. But that one application was 80 notes databases. And it was globally dispersed, and it was very much not in the current scope for what they were actually going to do in their project. And it had to be taken out of scope. And it was, I mean, everything is like now nearing completion. I think their goal is going to be the end of June. But analysis would never have found this out if we hadn't done analysis. And we gave them the information early to be able to have them take a new approach, create a new stream in order to take care of some of these applications that were massive. In addition, they thought they had about 100 databases that they needed to archive. One of these applications had something like 200 databases, and all of those, all bar two, were all for archive. So the scope increased significantly because of analysis, and actually allowing us to work with the customer and the partner to generate the outcome, which was successful. Yeah, as I say, end of June this year. No more notes. Yeah.
Louise and everybody, as we're running low on time here, the question that has come up, and on some level, my question too, if a partner suspects they might have a Lotus Note opportunity in one of their accounts, what's the best and smartest next step that they can take? And secondly, with that, what's a prime candidate look like?
Answer the first question. If you have an opportunity, and I'm going to sound really annoying, and I'm sorry about that, but please do register it, so we know that there's something going on. Louise, do you want to go for the second question?
So understanding what the application does today and how the and how complex it is really key. And that's why analysis is important. And it's what I would recommend, that the first thing you do is, if you think the customer has got a good Pega fit, analyze it, double check it, talk to the business, blueprint it. Yeah. To truly see, I mean, what does not fit into Pega are simple applications. We all know the Pega platform. It is a super powerful platform which does really complex tasks. So if someone has got like a document library or a mailbox or etc., they're not good Pega fits, because they're better off in the likes of SharePoint. Yeah. And I apologize that my window the sun is coming right in my window.
That's all
I would
right.
say that I would say that I'm lit up, but it's the exact opposite. There we go. Have we got any more questions?
I've got one. And again, I try to look at it through the lens of the partners, and you know, this is a new selling point for us, right? Or for many of the partners, that's why they're on here, want to learn about this. Is there anything they need to be careful about, right? Like, so that they don't oversell the capability. Like, what does Notes to Blueprint do really well? And you know, where does that partner expertise in that really matter?
So what does Notes to Blueprint do really well? It helps you define what really is important to go to Pega. The blueprint will allow you to accelerate that reimagination of an application directly with the people that use that application, the business owners. And the migrate will migrate it much faster and with high fidelity and auditability, unlike trying to do exports from Lotus Notes, which we've all tried in the past and it's rarely good. What was the other part, the last part of the question, Randy?
What makes the partner expertise become important here? And I tie that into the same question so that they understand, you know, part of the not overselling and where they're important.
Yeah, so the partner is hugely important, because partners usually are the people that have these breadth of skills. You know, it's, you know, you need people in your project that know Notes, that are Notes developers, right? And you need people that know Pega, right? So you need like solution designers. You need people that understand how to build in Pega, so that these people can work together through the analysis and the blueprinting to make sure that the left and the right are doing the right thing. Yeah, it's partners usually have practices. You know, software companies not so much. Yeah. So, you know, exactly. We really are relying on our partners to be able to go out and deliver this, right? But it's very important that, you know, the partners realize that without Notes knowledge, despite having all the AI in the world, you need a human person to understand what you're looking at.
Love it. All right, so we're a little over time, and I do hate doing that to people at lunchtime. To everybody who's still with us, thank you for hanging on. This is a great topic. There's going to be more of these. There's going to be the partner cast coming up, which is going to showcase the same folks and the same capability. Anybody who has a question that didn't get answered, I go through them. I reach out to the team and I'll email you back. You can always email me with other questions. This team is easy to work with, and they definitely want to see you do this business. So a couple things before we close. One, you're going to see an invite in your email box for something coming up. Going to work with our go-to-market team and our blueprint team. As you know, they have a new blueprint release every 2 weeks, once a month, probably opposite ends of this. probably around the first Monday, I think, of the month we're working on. We're going to do a what's new in Blueprint webinar. It's going to be short. It's going to be a 15 to 30 minute, easy going, very relaxed, but just to bring you up to speed. Not everybody's going to be in the interest to know immediately what's happening, but it's going to be something that brings you up to the latest and greatest on Blueprint, so those things don't sneak past you. So that's something to know. Watch for those invites. After that, listen, that brings us to the close of another great Pega Partner Hour. Great thanks to everybody who shows up month to month, all the new visitors today. And as always, none of this happens without the man behind the scenes, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. John Lynch. And for our presenters today, Natascha, Alex, Mats, and Louise, I can't thank you all enough. People don't know the background of what happened in here, but we put a lot of last minute things together to make this happen. And I really appreciate the hoops they jumped through to come here and give this presentation today. So for everyone else, we'll see you on the next one, May 8th, when we're back to our regularly scheduled second Friday of each month. Until then, sell and be well. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.
Happy Friday.